Hi, I'm Zoe with Paranormal Extraction, and we have Rick on today with the fabulous and phony of the paranormal, which is, you know how that goes. So I'm sure we're going to have a great talk about that. And thank you for following me, Paranormal Extraction, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And so let's go talk to Rick. This should be a really fun show today because I really, really like Rick. So, hey, okay, Rick. Yay!
Hey, what's up? You know, I really like you too, so it's a mutual thing.
Okay, I know we're on the same page here. Actually, what I want you to, what did you do? Go ahead and tell me about your show.
Ooh, I was going to say, what did I do this morning? I mean, that could be kind of boring, but yeah.
Okay,
well,
you had a show.
Yes. Well, if we kind of like rewind the clock a little bit here, back around 2000 to 2004, I had the pleasure of working with several folks to create what was called Unexplained. And so this was on a local CBS affiliate. It was on the 10 o'clock news, since we're Central Time, the late news. And it was about a 5-minute segment every month of a variety of topics. So whatever case we could open, whether it was a haunting, whether it was UFO, cryptid, conspiracy, whatever the case was, we every month had an episode in the late news, which then that also developed into 3 half-hour specials. The first one, which we had the pleasure of getting a Southeast Regional Emmy for, and then all of that unfortunately closed down. And it closed down because I moved, basically, and also the station wanted to do some other things. But I moved up to the DC area, and then it was just kind of the case of like, you know, talking with the original creator, Darren Dito, and I were just like, it'd be great to get the band back together. Boy, it'd be great to get the band back together. You know, living the good old days. And so we're kind of like, why don't we relaunch it? And we'll call it Unexplained Cases. So it's kind of a 2.0. And we'll just put it online. Yeah. And so now here we are. We did that in 2019. And here we are in 2022, and we're still going along with our YouTube channel.
Okay, so are you doing paranormal and music? Or you're doing both?
So being Unexplained Cases, you know, we're still looking for anything that falls under, I like to say we're a little more unsolved mystery, so to speak, than just like pure like hauntings. Unfortunately, or not, depends on how you look at it, hauntings are the easiest cases to find. So I have to dig a little extra to find
I totally agree with you on that one.
You know, or cryptid, or because for us, when our formula is, well, let's start with our motto: preserving history by documenting the strange, paranormal, and unexplained. But that first thing is preserving history. So that means you're starting with a story.
That's what I love about you. Yeah, that's what I absolutely love about you, is that you did the history first.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of these folks basically could run out there and, you know, throw together something, and it's like, ooh, here's our package. But us being broadcast newsers, being journalists, it's like, let's find the story, let's find this historical thing, let's preserve that, and then let's build on that. So our work takes some time. Well, like right now, I've got several that are in the proverbial can that I'm working on. It takes a bit to edit them together, to shoot them, to research them and find them. But like I said, you know, and I'm sure you've experienced it too. It's like, you know, they're just ghost stories all over the place. But I've said we're not unexplained ghosts. You know, we're cases. We're not ghost cases. We're unexplained cases. So we're trying to find as many different topics as we can.
Well, yeah, we've talked about that now. So you're the producer.
Yeah, so I'm the executive producer, which means basically I just kind of like carry the vision of the show. I do some researching, but I also edit everything together. So every stitch of the episodes that we have online, I've touched and edited those. In a lot of cases, I've shot them. But then we also have several other folks working with us who are collecting video and information as well.
Right. Well, where do you live?
So I'm actually in Columbia, Maryland. And also our other team member, Michael Chen, he's actually in Annapolis, Maryland. And then Darren Dito is in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, damn it. I wanted you to be the producer of my talk show. Damn.
Well, see? There's another opportunity here, I'm hearing.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how the heck I could get to Maryland and have everybody there to be on the talk show, but you know.
Write down the computer.
So a lot of things are possible, Zoe. So a lot of things.
Yeah. We'll get into that at a different thing. So, okay, we've talked about the fabulous and the phony. I mean, we always do pre-interviews, and I told you a little bit, I think, about the Travel Channel and what happened to me with that, which was fabulous and phony.
Yes.
Very, very phony. So
yes.
I'm going to let you go ahead and start out on the fabulous and the phony, and I can interject big time on that one, since I was on TV, and we can go from there.
We'll weave and we'll put this tapestry together. Well, it's kind of funny. We went off the alliteration of that with fabulous and phony, just because there are so many fabulous aspects of it. And like let's just go with kind of like the top level that you just mentioned, and that being the fact that there's so much content that's out there, and there's so many really. And I do see things through the lens of a content creator. So there's so many wonderfully made stories, great editing, great storytelling, even some effects and all of that makes together this huge package. And it's just like, oh, that's fabulous. But the problem sometimes gets into, and I think this is really a challenge with network shows, is you're expected to produce at a certain level, meaning like for us, if we go to a location and we don't collect anything, there's no evidence, nothing's captured, nothing's happened, I'm still going to turn that into an episode, because the point being is that happens. If we're doing a haunting, or even if we were searching for Bigfoot, I mean, you may not hear any sounds. You may not have any evidence. You may collect nothing, because that's part of investigation. That's part of police work even. I mean, some days you solve the crime, some days years they go unsolved.
I absolutely love that, because, I'm talking about the phony side of it, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a few shows out there that actually, and even on Instagram, where they do kind of the research of the location that they're at, and then they do the show, okay, whatever show it is that they're doing after that. Right. But I'm talking about the phony side of it, where, and I'm talking about network shows, okay, big ones. The Travel Channel is one of them. They got a lot of them on Netflix or whatever you want to talk about. And the fact that they don't do that, at least the one that I was on, and told that, yes, you are going to be doing this, because I was very adamant like you, okay, you want to do something historic and real. You want it to be real. You don't want it to be fake. Right. And basically, I was lied to. And when the show came out, I mean, we knew when we were there, but there was clowns and, all of this stuff that, it actually wasn't even real. I mean, and they made me, I felt like a fool, I really did, Rick. I felt like a fool. Not just that, but the contracts that you sign, your promise that you're going to have this big show opener to maybe a new show that they're going to have. And then they tell you it's going to be called one thing, and then they change that. Then on top of that, okay, and it was horrifying to me because I was seriously lied to. On top of that, I've had people come up to me and say, "Oh my God, I saw you on the Travel Channel." And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, okay, where'd you see me? And they're like, "Oh, I saw you in the graveyard." I'm like, I wasn't in the graveyard. So what they did was they took all of these little pieces of me doing things and added it into other shows.
Sure.
And I was.
You became B-roll.
Oh my God! So after that whole event, it's like now when I talk to a producer or people that are interested in me, I know about red light, green light. I know what questions to ask. I know about contracts now and all of those things to find out, are they phony or are they real? Okay.
Right.
Are they really real? Do they really want to use you or do they not? I mean, it's really crazy. It's a crazy situation.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people in our business are real hard up just to be on TV.
Sure.
And then they don't get paid. And then they show things that aren't real. Like when Zach Bagans first started, the brick that he threw in his first show was thrown by somebody else. Okay.
Stringed it. Pulled it with a string.
Pull what with the string?
The brick.
Oh, they pulled it with the string, the brick. Okay, and we also heard
That's what I heard.
Being on with, the boom and the producer wasn't there, but the director was there and all the people that we worked with. I mean, they knew the whole gist of the situation on many shows that I was told about. And it was pretty sad. It was really, really sad. Because what they're doing is they're going out and they're showing people, oh, you just take your EMF meter and you do this and you do that, and then we're going to throw a ghost in or a sound in. Or actually, if you look at the EMF meters, I mean, look at the science behind it.
Yes.
They don't really work, all right? I don't use any equipment when I do it. All right. But that's why the people in the paranormal, they hate me. Okay. Because I am totally against all of that. I mean, let's just talk about a camera. Okay. And they get the little specs on it. It could be, okay. It could be dust.
Yes.
Okay.
The orb discussion, the orb debate.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm done with my little,
well, and so
jerk
okay,
off, pissed off.
Let's riff on that for a second.
Yeah. I know because
when it comes to orbs, I mean, I love the memes that. Well, I guess the latest one was with Elon Musk saying like, he was gonna basically have anybody who's on Twitter who says orbs are real, he's gonna ban them or something to that effect. And it's like. I don't disagree with that.
I know.
But at the same time, I guess that's where I've told folks plenty of times. Like, to me, if something looks like a light anomaly, if something looks three-dimensional, and if it has a different color, then it's definitely worth trying to pay attention to. If it looks like it's translucent or it's different sizes or whatever, that's called dust. Or that's called a water molecule.
There you
that
go.
Can even be a light refraction.
Sure.
But if you've got something that's like, now that looks a little bit weird. Well, okay, let's entertain like trying to figure that out. Go through all the steps. Can you recreate it? Was there something else? And it's like at that point, you could say in the whole concept of orbs, it's like, are they real? Are they not? I don't think we necessarily know, but does it mean that everything is like you walk into a room, it's like, oh, look at all of these floaty thingies. It must have been a ghost. It's like, no, someone just didn't clean up, okay? I mean, they stirred up some stuff. That could be some dandruff too. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to get into the EMF meters just a little bit.
Sure.
There's also science around that. Okay, first of all,
Yes.
psychology I'll just talk about.
Mhm.
Actually, in psychology, you can make it up in your own mind on what you're hearing.
Oh, absolutely.
On there. But also the static and the frequency, okay, and I'm sure you know a lot about that, can go into different other frequencies. Now,
Sure.
this is my big issue with it, okay, is that it's like a Ouija board. Which I think is very dangerous. And I think people need to have spirituality and protection and not play with this stuff. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, so coming from a place of faith, I'm one that's like, myself or my team, we're not going to go into any location without being prayed up and protected. And like that's requirement number one. And there's also been ramifications of when that hasn't happened, because in that little brief side story would be Mike Chen, who was down in Beaufort, North Carolina, was at the burying grounds, which is a 300-year-old cemetery. Now, to me, it's one thing to go into your average graveyard. If you're going to go into a 300-year-old cemetery or more like that, you best be prayed up and protected. And in his case, he actually, just in doing everything, completely forgot. He ended up getting an attachment, which had to be dealt with afterwards.
That's what happened to me.
And I think what happens is people think, oh, this is cool, this is historical, oh, this would, and it started like in the daytime, and then it switched over to night. And interesting enough, around dusk/night is actually when that attachment happened. But as people just kind of like think, oh, this is cool, this is great, and it's like, no, I mean, there's some seriousness here. It's just kind of like, you don't play with a Ouija board. My own personal thing is like, you are allowing something, and we'll just say an entity, to manipulate your hand in guiding around something. So it's like you should not be coming in contact with equipment that could be touched, which is why I like to have any equipment we're using is away so that there's no physical contact, but I also have barriers in place. And then you just don't go willy-nilly traipsing through the tulips there in the cemetery thinking oh, this is fun, this is a field trip basically, and you walk out with something that could be way more dangerous than you expected.
Well, yeah, because they can go into IOP too, which is infestation, oppression, and full-on possession, okay, which I've gotten a lot of calls about. All right, and that's a whole different story. That's more of a demon type of thing, and that's why I have demons on my license plate.
See, wait, and don't you have it on your shoe too? So
I have demon on my shoe, and on the other side it says ghost. See? Yeah. Yeah. So I go out dressed like this when I go out for my paranormal, which is, quite interesting.
Yeah. See, you walk the talk there.
Oh, yeah. So tell us, okay, so we talked about that. And we got into that a little bit, hardcore. What about the fabulous?
So, fabulous to me is a chance to be able to interview folks who have a story to tell, but then they pass away a few years after that. And what's fabulous to me would be I've had a son reach out to me, and this was with going back to the broadcast news version of what we did. Who said, hey, I know that you interviewed my grandfather about Camp Van Dorn, but we never got that on tape. We never recorded that. We never recorded his stories. And so this grandson is like, I was glad that he was able to find me because he wasn't like part of our, interview or any type of contact. But he knew he had that and wondered, do you have like the full interview? And I'm like, well, of course I do. And I shared that with him because, that's where I think when it comes especially to ghost stories, but then in this case, this was something entirely different, is a little bit more like a kind of like a World War II conspiracy, if you will. But any type of story, can become a part of family lore. It's like something that, this uncle so-and-so or granddad so-and-so would share, and it'd be a really cool story, and maybe you listen to it, and maybe you always look forward to hearing. But then they pass away, and you may remember it, but a lot of times people don't think, I really should actually like record that, and so I can save that. And I think that's important, but then that's why I say we're preserving history, because if a building which was used for a purpose, it doesn't matter whether it might be haunted or not. It had a specific purpose. It's now abandoned. It's going to get torn down or it's falling down. Record that. And then also, let's look at old pictures of it. What did it used to look like? What did it used to be? Now, here's this montage so that people can say, oh, wow, I had no idea that used to be like that. I just thought it was just some old crumbling ruins. Nice. Now you've preserved history for someone else to look at.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, instead of just walking in and first of all, trespassing on property that says no trespassing. Yes. That's another no-no that happens a lot of the times. Okay, so that's the fabulous. For me, when I did, TV, and I also had a worldwide radio show, it was absolutely, I would have to look back, that it was the best time I've ever had in my life. I mean, being and seeing really what's going on in this craziness, and it was just like being high, because we went and we actually did what you did. We went for 4 days before, we did the research and all that before they came. But I have to say that the fabulous was the high that I got. And I mean, every day our radio show was at 3:00 in the morning. I would get up, I was like dancing in the back when I'm doing the boards. I was just so excited to do it. It was just absolutely wonderful. Yes. And then there's the negative sides of that, which I won't get into. Yeah. But
that's one of the things that's great is like when we had a live show, we did that for about a year, but that was an opportunity to talk to all these different authors, investigators, quote unquote celebrities. To me, it's like the real people are the ones that are like, hey, they're who you see on camera and off. It's like you're not getting like some different version. You're getting me. And it's just like, I talk the same. I say the same stuff. For me, I tell people, what you see is what you get. This is me. Whether, if I'm on camera doing an investigation, this is what you're going to get.
Okay. And and that's what my show is about when I do my shows, because there is no rehearsing. I mean, when I talk to people to get to know them before we do it. And if a dog barks or the doorbell rings, that's what's going to happen. And,
exactly.
I'm the same way when I go out and do my own thing. So I agree with you 100% on that.
So, and we realized that we were on the same asylum hall, too, at one point in our lifetime, right? Yes.
Yeah.
You were 2 doors down.
Yeah, so, I was. Yes, I know. Yeah, I did a segment of where we were at. By the way.
Nice. I'm glad you went back there. I like seeing home. I like the little drawing I left on the wall too. It's nice.
Yeah, exactly. Because I thought you were actually a woman. But anyways.
People make that mistake.
And then we had to go bury the dead, 3 boxes down, and we really didn't know what we were doing. We thought that maybe,
That's how it goes. That's what happened.
Okay, what else? I mean, would you want to go more into the fabulous still, or the phony? I'm just gonna.
Well, I was just going to touch on, like, you were mentioning, just like when it comes into EMF and EVP, and I guess, just to kind of loop back to that,
And the
like
devil's
I've had some folks who, like, the moment I say part of, I have a go bag, as I call it, basically, and it's got everything I could ever possibly need. So it's like, if I need to head out the door, things have been charged, batteries have been charged, everything's in there, head out the door, go somewhere.
nice.
Well, there's a K2 meter that's in there. And, I was talking to somebody and they're just kind of like, okay, well, let's forget that. Because I think sometimes, when it comes to equipment, I mean, you alluded to this, let's take one step back. Your best equipment is this. It's your body.
Aren't we? I mean, we should work together because yes, that's
Absolutely.
what I use.
Because in that case, it's like I can be driving by or walking by a house and be like, okay, somebody's in there. And anytime I'm saying that, that is somebody who you can't see. Or, oh, somebody's looking out the window. Now, it's not that I visualize that. It's just an impression.
Sure.
Or it's like I say, if we're kind of, walking around somewhere and I'm like, okay, so full body chills going on right here. And it's like, okay, that's like coming in contact with a live wire. It's like some entity's near, something's going on. And then if somebody's like, that's where it's like, okay, if you're recording, that would be a good time. Get out your equipment. You got your finger up your nose. What are you doing? Because really, once you get down to it, it's like, people have asked, and probably have asked you too, would be just like, well, hey, what equipment do I need? It's just like, well, first off, if you're in touch with yourself and you're honest with yourself, that's all you really need. When it comes into this other stuff, beyond even your own phone, which can take pictures, can take video, can record audio, you can get your K2 meters and your spirit boxes and your portals and your whoozy waddy blotty blotty and the newest thing. It's really more for show, and a lot of times it's more to prove to someone else what you're experiencing. Because if I tell you this is exactly what I experienced, you could say, no, you didn't experience that. You could say it, but the reality is you don't know what I experienced. I'm telling you,
right.
And so it is my truth. It's saying this is how I interpreted my experience. So you really can't debate me on that. But if I have a device that's registering something and going off, well, you could say, okay, that's because so-and-so just turned on a walkie-talkie. That's because someone's got a blender on.
Right.
That's because, someone's releasing gas over there. I mean, anything's possible.
Boy, you're so funny. I know. And, I absolutely agree with you on that because what I did was we actually used only, a video camera. And I worked with a shaman, a real shaman, not one that went, and got a certificate, from the Native American tribe. And unfortunately, he died. But we did have a lot of people ready for a show. And once he was gone, I'm like, where am I going to find another shaman?
Right.
So that's how I started getting into the interviews because I couldn't find anybody that could step into that role of being, giving a different validation or being able to get rid of what was in there. If we got a call to get rid of it, there needed to be two of us. And I did my thing, kind of similar to what you do, and you see things. Plus we had other people, a clairvoyant, which would actually, before we even would film, she would say, it's an army surplus store, it could possibly be in this corner. So we had all these people working together, which was really cool. But unfortunately, that's why I don't do any paranormal work anymore, because it's dangerous.
Yeah, sure.
And I can't do it by myself.
Yeah, well, and I think that's something that's also very important in all of this is like some people, I think, they think it's cool. Like, I don't see so much of it now, but like when we first got onto YouTube in 2019 and 2018 was really when we were kind of ramping up this whole 3 a.m. challenge. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
so you think it.
What's with that?
That's called trying to get views, which that's great. But trying to get views at the expense of being at a location at 3 a.m. Now, first off, are you really there at 3 a.m. or is it dark? Because if it's dark, I don't know what time it is. But okay, you're there at 3 a.m. allegedly the witching hour. Okay.
I know, and we went out during the day.
Right? Because then it's like, well, first off, just because it's dark doesn't mean it's more haunted. I mean, it can be, frankly, it's all the time. It just looks better for camera at that. But then if you're by yourself, you're at a location, especially like it's abandoned or whatever, it's like, come on, guys. Because one of two things are happening. Either A, you're saying you're by yourself, and you're really not. So you're being disingenuous because you have other people around protecting you. Or B, you actually are, and you're stupid because you don't do that. That's how I would be more concerned about someone coming up out of the dark and shanking me for money I don't have than some ghost going boogity boo. It's 3 o'clock. I'm gonna come and haunt you.
Or the ones that spend the night. What about that?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, in that case, it's let's sleep with a ghost. I mean, that's fine, basically. I mean, some people that might actually be a step up. I mean, I don't know, but it's kind of like, if you're going to be hanging. Now, I will say, because this is a funny story, I will say that the only time that's ever happened for us was in Meridian, Mississippi, and we were at a mansion there, basically, and it was like a tour mansion, like a lot of the southern mansions are kind of like for tours, but this was one that had a gift shop and they closed down. And so Darren, myself, and a photographer, the three of us just were like, we had the whole place to ourselves. It's like, and it was for free. It's like, that doesn't happen today, but we were also, local TV, so they could kind of be like, oh, sure, you can do this. And we were there, and of course, going back to days when we weren't as clueful, so we weren't really protected, and there was supposed to be two spirits here in this place, and we dozed off. I remember waking up.
You dozed off?
Well, all three of us dozed off. Okay.
Oh my God.
So all three dudes, basically, we're over here, have a little, and we got a camera, but you can't see us, but we're in this room. You hear this banging on the walls or the floor. We don't know where it's coming from. The only thing we knew it was not the living, because we did a full search, couldn't find any evidence of anybody, but woke up and be like, because the camera shows, like, I think it was Rob who woke up first. It was just like, what is that? And Darren was like, yeah, that's what woke me up. And I think I'm coming too. And it's like, yeah. So at that point, they're just like, what are you falling asleep for? You're supposed to be here hanging out with me. So I'm just going to make a bunch of noise.
What?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, so you have experienced, definitely experienced, let's just say a ghost or, I mean, what about
entities? Yeah.
What about devil dogs or UFOs?
So that's where, like, the pleasure, this goes back again to fantastic, I guess, here, would be the fact that we were able to interview the late Charles Hickson, which Charles Hickson, along with a friend, it was a famous abduction case in Pascagoula, Mississippi. And so,
okay, that's kind of interesting, because I just did an interview with the guy with 100 books, and go ahead. So it was Pascagoula then.
Yeah, so this was the Pascagoula event, or it has a bunch of different names, but it was kind of like an infamous abduction case. And so we were able to interview Charlie before he passed away. And so again, that's one of those, just to have this sit down, casual conversation with him, saying what he's told probably 1,000 times before,
Cool.
but just basically talking about everything and bringing up to speed. And so, we had like that so far, besides Phoenix Lights, because Darren also was out in Arizona, had a chance to interview a lot of the folks who actually witnessed the Phoenix Lights.
I live there.
Nice,
Okay,
nice.
and we won't go into that, but yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So the fact that they had, and this was one of those perfect timing things, because there was like this whole convention there, so Darren was just able to go get all these interviews, talk to Dr. Katai and everything, all the work she's done with that, and then be able to put together the story, which, I mean, again, people have done this, a dozen different ways to Sunday, but it's always nice if you can kind of have a local or a personal spin, which, in this case, just the folks that we've talked to, also back in Mississippi, a lot of different police officers who, again, they witnessed something strange,
Yeah.
who they can't explain.
Right.
Or even a police chief in Florida, Mississippi.
Oh, sure.
He had this amazing account. Again, he's passed away, but we have his whole interview going out to the spot where he basically saw this craft
Sure.
hovering and then, disappearing. Yeah. So it's like, again, that's his experience. You can have people, I love people in the comments. Don't you love the commenters on social media? They're special. Who will basically come along and call that BS.
What about no one likes you? What about no comments at all?
Hey, well, in that case, I'll start trolling you. So,
okay, you already do that.
we'll help you out with that.
Okay, yeah, and I'll help you out, all right?
But that's where commenters, to me, it's like the whole purpose of commenting should be to, like, let's have a discussion. Let's expand this. Let's actually have a great discussion on this, instead of, oh, that's fake, that's BS, you're stupid, you're just like, yeah, that's why there's delete, there's block, or sometimes it's actually fun to kind of like, burn back a little bit, basically.
Yes.
So, like, well, yeah, your mom, whatever.
Yeah, well, I actually do believe in UFOs and aliens only because of my personal experience with it.
Oh,
so yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, my own personal experience, which I'm not going to get into because, I do a lot of interviews with UFOs or aliens, and read a ton of books because I read their books, and my own experiences. So I truly believe that they exist.
Sure.
Plus ancient aliens tell you that.
Right?
Ancient aliens on TV.
And can I do my breast impersonation? I got a headset on, so I can't do
Giorgio.
Giorgio!
Hey, that's him.
Yeah. You are so great. Okay, you're so great. Oh my God.
I mean, when you can become a meme, you've kind of made it at that point, basically. I mean, he's his own meme at that point. So.
Yeah, he definitely is. But
see, so that alludes to the question, though. So now we can say, like cryptids. So Bigfoot, is he a cryptid or is he an alien? Is he interdimensional?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my feeling about it is it's interdimensional. However, there are a few ones like Loch Ness, and I'm not going to get into that. And
we could be here all day.
I have found through my trying to find different people to come on that the cryptid community, and I know that we're talking about the fabulous and phony, so there's probably going to be a lot of people that hate us. But the cryptid situation, I cannot find anyone to come on. I mean, it's like, it's absolutely horrible. It's not like UFOs, or I do metaphysical shows, or, that they're wonderful and everything else. But the cryptid community, I want to ask you, have you dealt with the cryptid community? And
So I think I have, and I think the only blessing is we've recently added a couple of correspondents because we're kind of basing our structure off of a news network. And so I actually have the pleasure of having Jim Birchall out in New Zealand. And so maybe the individual he has for a story he's working on, which is the New Zealand Bigfoot, which is called the Mohu Man, if I'm actually pronouncing that correctly,
okay.
Related to the Mohu Mountains. The individual that Jim is working with would be perfect, I think, if we could basically, get you two to chat.
Oh, sure, that'd be
because
great.
he has this individual, and I keep saying like that, thinking his name's going to come back to my stodgy brain, and we're just going to forget that's going to happen. But this researcher, he has got so many years invested in this that the only way that I would even have connection to him is because of Jim. But that just alludes to the point to where this is why we haven't done a cryptid case, because like in our situation, it's like I need to have someone who is out there researching. I need to have someone who has seen something for real, no BS.
Right.
You've seen it, you can explain it, this is what happened. But then again, I think that person is less likely to come forward and document their experience for the camera than someone who saw a ghost. Or who heard a ghost, or who heard something unexplained that they're attributing to a ghost. It's like I could throw a rock and hit one of those stories.
Right.
But a cryptid story, or a UFO story, they're almost on the same level towards people are even more reserved from sharing that information.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my case, UFOs and the alien thing, no problem. A ton and a ton and a ton and a ton of stuff on that. Cryptid, I found that it's just it's really hard. However, I did about 2 or 3 years ago an actual real interview of the guy that came down to the location, and we did a full interview at the location. And
Nice.
I absolutely believe him. We met before, and then we went out and we did do that, and that is on my YouTube channel, and that got like so many
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I mean, there was just he's just absolutely great, Alan Monticello, and I completely believe in him. But that was really the only one that had any evidence or had a truthful story that he wanted to tell. And he wanted to tell the story because he wanted to let other people know it was okay if you see this stuff and talk about it. That was his big thing that he wanted to do. So
absolutely, because I think some people, there's this whole stigma of like, okay, I've been smoking something. I clearly ingested something for me to have experienced that. Or there's even, when you get into the faith circle, it's kind of like automatically, oh, that's a demon, basically. Or, what you had is automatically that. And that's where I'm just like, listen, there is a whole spiritual realm around us. There can be spiritual warfare. There's certainly angels and demons. But for everything to be demonic, it's a bit of a stretch. There's so much that, that's why when someone says, well, I've got it all figured out, or, this is the only way to do it, or, this kind of thing, it's like, see, it's not quite that structured, basically, for someone to be, that certain of it all. There's still so much that's unknown in this field.
And I agree with you on that. I really do agree with you on that. But see, if you got this cryptid guy, I need him.
Hey, so it sounds like we need to trade some stuff. So I can give you that, and then if you've had a lot of luck finding, some more abductees or whatever, then I'll trade you. We can have paranormal playing cards, not tarot cards. Not tarot cards, but playing cards.
I've got some really good ones. Kinsella brothers are pretty awesome, and more than that. And I can also, you're on Facebook, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's your page on Facebook? Does it have a lot of this stuff, or?
Yeah. I mean, basically, the main channel where like all of, so we're divided up like this. So the YouTube channel has got all unexplained cases, including our live shows. And so that's youtube.com/unexplained cases. Or you could just search for unexplained cases, but that's the URL to get there. Facebook, has a little bit of different content, but it's also, a lot of things have been shared there. But, it's basically, again, unexplained cases. So we have a page there. We have an Instagram page, which that has a lot of different fun things. And I try to even post some of our older stories and everything. Whereas our website, which is unexplainedcases.com, that not only has all of our new stuff, but you can go all the way back to our old that eventually I'm going to bring up to modern specs, because when they were encoded, it was at 2000, 2004. So it looks great when it's about this big, but if you expand it out, it's like, wow, that's pixelated. That looks like I'm playing Minecraft or something.
You're so funny, because I was doing my shows with my computer.
Yes.
Okay. And so the person looked like this big, and but you know what? That's where I was at. And then well, I'm not going to get into being mean or anything. It was kind of like, well, we need to get a monitor. It just looks more professional.
Right.
As far as me wearing headphones, why?
See, well, that would just mess up your fabulous hair. So
that's right.
Come on, you get headphone hair. Yeah. I don't care if I have headphone hair. I've got it falling out up here, basically. So, I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you've got some new things that you're working on and that are in process.
Yes.
And anything else that you want to divulge here? I mean, I know you and I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
It's a shame that we're so reserved. If we actually stop being so shy, we might be able to talk more. So.
Exactly. Right. That's why I always have that pre-interview,
Right? See, you never know what you're getting into. It's better to know what you're getting into.
Oh, you gotta wear, and then you gotta wear your different hats for that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you've got a whole closet full of them.
I do. All right. So, hey, I mean, anything else?
Yeah,
today?
I mean, we're working on. I've had like folks would be like, "Oh, when's the next episode?" It's kind of like, I would love to get to a point where it was kind of like, again, to go with like social media juices and everything. It's like they like regularity. Who doesn't like being regular? But it's like you need to have your at a specific time, ideally weekly, be consistent like that. And it's like, well, for us, it's more about quality than quantity. So we take a little bit of a hit statistically, or gaining subscribers or whatever. But I'm like, well, you know what? I would rather keep doing what we're doing. If we can get to that point where we can release things on like a normal basis, that'd be great. But a lot of these stories, I say they edit themselves. I mean, I'm working like right now on an investigation we did in Philadelphia that actually was before the pandemic, and I'll go on record to say, because to me this feels sad, January 2020 is when we did this investigation. And here we are in April of 2022, and it hadn't come out. Well, we had other things that happened before. We had other projects we got into. And so now I'm editing this, and I'm like, wow, this could be like a huge episode, or I could honestly break it up into 3, which is probably what I'm going to do, just so it can focus on the 3 different locations that we went to and who we were working with. And she was using dowsing rods, and just the story and the history that was revealed.
I love dowsing rods.
Would be rather fascinating. Yes. And those two, basically.
Dowsing rods.
A lot of people would be like, "Oh, it's fake. They're doing this and they're twirling it." And I'm just like, again,
come on,
you can't
do the history.
You can't prove to some people that something's going to work, and it's kind of like, look, their hands aren't moving. They're locked.
Okay.
Yet the rods are doing this, you know?
Yeah, but
I mean,
look at the history. Okay,
Yes.
just go back and look at the history. Then,
Exactly.
then it's going to tell you.
Exactly.
You know. So, okay, so are you going to try, or have you tried to sell these to any networks? Have you?
No, and I'll tell you why. You know, we had an opportunity to get onto a service that we would have to be exclusive, and I was like, no. And the reason for that is like, from a content creator standpoint, I'm not willing to commit like this is the only place that you're going to see us. I would rather, you know, someone have multiple access points to what we're doing, basically, than like this is, you know, to be locked in like that. When it comes to networks, and and we've talked, you know, we've alluded to this, you have, and we've talked offline on it, is like, to me, it would have to be the perfect situation because for me personally, and this goes back into that phony, is when I have seen like stars of shows basically have to fake evidence, and I believe they've had to fake the evidence because they have to, you know, meet a certain level of expectation or scariness or whatever, you know. And so it's like, well, I'm going to take my foot and I'm going to thump on this wall and then go, what was that? Did you hear that? And it's like, you know, I'm not going to name names, but it's like, okay, there's phony, and why did you do that? You know, it's been caught, you know. Or for me personally, to be asked to not reveal that I was investigating a location, that I was just an average Joe, and no, don't tell you just felt stuff or it felt weird. Say that you like saw this. Let's embellish on that story. And I'm like, okay, that's lying, bro. So it's like, you know, and so to me, it's like, there's another content creator who he's kind of been in the same boat. He's like, I could sell this to so-and-so or put this on so-and-so, but they're going to change the name. They're going to change the formula. They're going to blow it up and it's going to become this. And I think that's what's key. It's like, as a content creator, what's important? Is it important to like sell that, to like make some money off of that and move on to the next thing? Or are you saying like, hey, this is my work and it's like, this is how it needs to be? And if, sure, you can make some changes, you can make some tweaks, but if you're going to lie and be disingenuous, then we're kind of at an impasse, and thanks for playing, we're not talking anymore.
Actually, you are not the first person that I've discussed that with. And like, let's just say being on the editing room, they want to be in the editing room to make sure that this is what they're going to do, and they don't even want to allow you to do that. So unfortunately, that's where we're going. That's why I decided to do something different. I want to do a talk show. Okay, and let's say the guy that saw the werewolf, and talk to him about it, and just sit back like we are right now, have the real person sitting there, maybe the green screen is showing, you know, the werewolf that he saw or whatever, and just kind of yuck it up and have it be more real, you know, and not have to retape it or put things in, you know.
Sure.
Would be really nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's why, like, and I don't consider this phony because I consider this to be an editing style, but it's like a lot of shows like to do reenactments. And I'm like, okay, for storytelling purposes, yeah, you get some actors and they come in and they recreate this and it looks nice, but that's all it is helping to tell the story, but it's also one more layer of like, okay, that's not real. I mean, maybe it happened that way, but a reenactment is just to help the viewer visualize something. But you could also try telling the story another way and being like, okay, so here's how it happened. Here's where it was at. This is what I saw. You know, let me sketch it out for you. You know, it's not as pretty. It's not as high production value, but it's also closer to being more realistic in the storytelling.
So phony. So let's just say that most of the shows out there are phony. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from our experience.
Yes.
Or-
Or to call it a different phrase that I like to say, paranormal entertainment.
Yes.
You know what? That would be better to say so people don't hate us.
Yeah. but in reality, it's like it's like things go into two buckets. It's okay that you're entertainment, but just own that. Just say, hey, you know what? What you see here, it's entertainment. We hyped it up. You know, we put some lipstick on that pig. Here you go, baby. But if it's research and it's real and it's journalistic, well, that's a whole different product.
Right.
You know? And then at that point, you've got to be genuine.
Yeah.
There is no faking. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, and they both can exist. The problem is when you have this, that people take it for real, you know, or they find out it's not real, and then the research part, nah, that's all bogus too. And I'm like, well, thanks a lot, entertainment. You just ruined it for everybody, or you at least made it a harder job.
Yeah, I mean, even on, you know, I love Ancient Aliens and I still watch it, but I did do some research when I did my talk show, my radio show, and it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Even what they were saying in there, and I was like, I was so pissed off. I didn't watch Ancient Aliens for a year, but now I do, and you kind of take it, you know, with a grain of sand that, you know, okay, most of it is, but they do have to do what they have to do. So, do you think we're going to get sued today?
No, nah. I think we'll be fine. We'll be good. See, you're too fabulous for that to happen. So see,
Yeah.
I owned it and I'm making it rain.
Yeah,
so there we go.
exactly.
Nice.
Okay, so we've talked. Is there anything else that you want to say?
You know, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and be able to chat about this. And I mean, I'm always willing to talk about this subject because it's kind of like, to me, we're always learning. I think, you know, it goes back to what I said, you know, anyone who claims to know it all or be an expert, I mean, you can be well versed and certainly, you know, you can have experience. I would never consider myself to be an expert in any of this. I could say, hey, you know, I've had this many experiences. I've collected this.
Exactly.
Here's the evidence. And frankly, that's usually what we prefer to do with even what we shoot, is just to say, like, you know, if I collect an EVP, I'll slow it down. I'll study it. You know, it'll be like this. I'll say, this is what we think we hear. Frankly, I've had people come in the comments and say, well, you know what? It sounded like this. And I'm like, well, see, I don't hear that, but why is that person hearing this? And so then you're kind of like, okay, but it's also just saying, this was weird. You be the judge. Is it unexplained? Or, you know, can someone debunk it? We've had some people debunk stuff and we're like, perfect, thank you. That's why we have other folks review stuff. But then we've also equally debunked things too. You just have to be skeptical of it, which that comes with being in journalism.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I know that you and I both have a lot to say again. I'd love to have you on the show again because, you know, I'm sure
absolutely.
that, you know, as you progress into doing this show and, you know, doing what you're doing now, and then, I mean, there's so much that we didn't talk about, but, you know, I think we've hit our hour mark, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so,
I was about to say, we could talk for several more hours, but all I can say is the next time we do chat, you got to wear those boots, though.
Okay.
That's actually a requirement. That's a requirement.
Okay, I will, I promise. And I'll make sure that I have a tunic on underneath something that's see-through because I couldn't find it this morning.
See, that could make for a whole different kind of show.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's think about that. Anyways, it's just an absolute joy to, you know, to speak with you today. And
likewise.
I really appreciate it. And I know that, you know, we're on the same page exactly. And it's such a joy for me to speak with somebody who is.
Well, absolutely.
Because
couldn't agree more.
You don't find a lot of those people out there, and actually it's very rare. So talking to you has just been, enlightening for me, learning a lot, also laughing a lot.
That's your part.
Which is just absolutely wonderful. So we'll have you on again.
I look forward to it. So
Okay.
you know how to find me. So
Yeah.
just reach out.
Yeah, the unexplained cases.
Absolutely.
Find them anywhere.
We're all over the place.
Find you everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Good job.
Well, if I could get some people on my YouTube channel that like me.
I'll see what I can do for you.
I mean, I think I got what, 5? No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'll bring you 10 more. So
Nice.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, it's a joy, and of course, I'm gonna be on, your channel, watching stuff and doing some more research to talk about. So then I can call you again, and we can figure out what we're gonna do, and then go from there.
Awesome. Well, fabulous. Thank you for having me.
Okay, well, I really, really appreciate it.
Good job,
so
man.
thank you, and don't click off. Thank
Yeah,
you, everybody.
Hang around for a minute.
Paranormal Extraction.
Bye-bye.
Bye.